We were very happy for a girl, of course, and we loved the boys. And I was a pretty arbitrary fighter pilot, and I said, you know, we're going to raise our boys hard but fair. We're going to raise Mary Lou with love. And so there was a difference in our family and the way people were treated.
She was a very typical little girl. She played dolls, and she had, as a matter of fact, Olivia has some of the dolls now. And she was very close to her boys, but they were away in school a lot.
From what I recall, you know, I think as you look at those pictures, it was a welcome addition to the house. Obviously, she was a few years apart from Mark and myself, so she probably didn't get to enjoy in some of the mischievous things that we got ourselves into. So from that perspective, she probably missed out on some of that stuff.
You can see in the photos, if you do the history, she was the baby sister, I was the middle kid, and I'm always walking around holding her hand, and I was the protective older brother. You know, Mary Lou was the flower in my dad's eye from a very young age, and I have to say, you know, you probably have this photo of her, you know, holding this Edelweiss in front of the Matterhorn at that kind of age, 4 or 5, that when we were living in Holland. And she was just cute as hell. She was a good poser for most pictures.
We raised all 3 of our children to be very independent. We didn't have any strings on them. Mark went away at 13 to never return, Michael at 14, Mary Lou at 16. When the Army fixed us up for our trip from New York, we were going to Bremen on the old SS America, and we first appeared in our cabin. It was a large cabin, an inside cabin. It had 4 bunks. In the middle of the cabin, they had placed a crib, and she was fit to be tied. That she was going to travel across the ocean in a crib. Of course, she had to, but she was really, the one time in my life I've really seen her indignant.
In Holland, she went to what they call a Kluter school. So she went to a kindergarten, and she knew enough Dutch to get by.
She and I were the only 2 people in the family that spoke Dutch at the time, and had this sort of cross-cultural experience.
We had a maid. She had a little daughter, too, and Mary Lou played with her and learned to eat some of the things she liked to eat, which is crazy, like marshmallows on graham crackers and things like that.
While we're in Europe, I did remember one of my best days in Europe. Midge and the boys, we were in Paris on a roundabout trip through Europe when I was flying out of Soesterberg in Holland. And Midge, of course, wanted to see the museums and sights, so I said, take off with the boys. You can see Napoleon's bed. I'm going to just enjoy Paris today. So I took Mary Lou, she was about 4, and we got on the boats and went on the Seine. We spent the whole day riding back and forth and having a little lunch and looking at Paris from a river point of view.
For one, moving around like that, and then doing it with Marvin is a real experience in radical and abrupt changes in location, you know, and maybe less of lifestyle, but certainly of location and environment, right? So you go from Holland to Montgomery, Alabama, which is deep south, you know, Boy Scouts, camping, swim club, you know, that whole playing football, trying to give the cheerleaders a peck on the cheek under the bleachers kind of life, right? And then up to prep school, which is the middle of the 60s, the summer after Woodstock, very sophisticated kids from New York and Massachusetts and so forth. So we all had that experience, and the continuity was this sort of life with Mo, which was, you know, get dragged up the mountain, jump into the sea, you know, go camping in the snow, go, you know, snorkeling here or snorkeling there, skiing, in the snow or the sleet or the rain or whatever it was. So
that's probably one of the values that, you know, I think we gained from my father was the fact that he really did like the outdoors, and so, you know, we took it for granted. But as you look back at it, the things we had an opportunity to do anywhere and everywhere we lived were phenomenal.
Even Midge and Mary Lou, as a young child, were not spared this kind of, you know, adventure tourism lifestyle that really defined living with Mo.
I remember, you know, climbing in the Shenandoah Mountains with Mary Lou, and Marvin used to put her on his shoulder sometimes going up there, and so she got to experience a lot of those things.
Mary Lou got to ride on my dad's shoulders for many years. I mean, we're talking from the age of, I mean, this didn't just happen in Europe. I mean, this happened well after we got back. So she was quite younger and smaller, and accorded the sort of royal seat as we hiked, and Midge would have to struggle up the mountains, and Mary Lou had a good ride.
They did complain to me once in a while that I showed Mary Louise a little favoritism, and that was true.
She was a real gem to him, and I think, but he raised her with a lot of the same values and the same independent feeling that he raised us with. So he didn't discriminate because he was a girl in that regard.
She was bugging me for years because she didn't get to go on the canoe trips that the boys did when they were younger. She was too young. So when she was of college age, she said, "Oh, you've got to go on a canoe trip." So we went on about a 10-day trip up into the Quantico Park. And one morning we were on a lake called Silence, and I caught one point in the whole trip where I really caught some big fish fishing off the rocks of our campsite. So we cooked those fish and ate them, and we had just packed up and were in the canoe ready to leave when two big black bears showed up. So after that, for the rest of the trip, anytime at night when she heard a mouse run by, she, "Oh, what's that? What's that?"
It's complicated because Mo was in the military. We were quite anti-war, as was most of the country, and as he was, I think.
We were a military family, of course, and that made us a little more unique. The boys went away to school. They weren't under my control. I know Mark came down to Washington to march in the big march, anti-war march, about the same year when I went off to fly in Indochina.
I think if you look at a lot of 60 babies, you know, they were really too young to really absorb a lot of that, but because she had brothers that had our long hair, smoked whatever you want to call it, you know, those are things that, you know, that was an influence on her that a lot of young people probably didn't get.
There's just a cute story about Mary Lou. I heard from somebody that Mo was okay. They had called, he sent word to us. And there used to be a drink called cold duck. And we were all having cold duck, and we let Mary Lou have something. We certainly didn't let her have all the cold duck she wanted. But she went in town that night to spend the night at her girlfriend's house, and she bragged how she could have all the cold duck she wanted because her dad was safe in Vietnam.